Okay. Well, I'm not happy. I'm a little upset. I've been a little bit in the doldrums. I've been a little bit upset, depressed. Uh, you know, this whole thing that's going on in Europe with Ukraine, it kind of kicked it off, watching this thing start. And my initial reaction to it was, I should go over there. A lot of guys think that. And through people I know people who are there right now. I know some other people who are going. And I've got this dude, pal of mine, uh, kind of a former spook kind of guy. He, it's an interesting thing. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world, because of all the different types of people I've known in my life, people I'm friends with. I'm only a few degrees away from getting some pretty good inside information on all sorts of things that go on. But I'm just a guy living alone in an apartment in Los Angeles. It's kind of weird. So, but his response to me on it was, basically alluding to the fact that, hey, you can't look at the government there and think that they're everything it's cracked up to be. And he's right. And I had to calm myself down a little bit. And it's hard because you're seeing what's going on over there, and there's just innocent people dying. And if you've been paying attention, and not just to this, but what's been going on for decades, all these things are predictable. You can, if you separate the emotion away and just look at the facts of things, you can actually see how it's been played out, how certain things have been put into place, certain situations that were created by people that enable this sort of thing to happen. And you sit there and you scratch your head like, how do we just let this happen over and over again? Well, a big reason is that we're being distracted and manipulated all the time with bullshit. And it's the messenger. The people on the news, they're not, they don't care about what the truth of anything is. They're being told what to say to us. It's the messages, the narratives, the fake nonsense. Isn't it interesting? I mean, if you were just to take recent history, right, like the last 4 to 6 years, and look at all the things that we were told that divided us, made it so that you're not even talking to members of your family or friends, people you've grown up with your whole lives, and then you find out it's bullshit. It was all lies to get you to hate the last president and all that. The way they take everything out of context and create all these things. I watched somebody on the news the other day talk about, or some show, talking about the Constitution is a joke and all that. And I mean, they're just constantly putting bad ideas out there, saying it with such conviction that if you're not a thinking person, you're just hearing the same messages, you're accepting it as a reality, and it's not a reality, it's nonsense. And that nonsense, it's an orchestrated thing. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but that's, if you look at the root of most wars, especially in the 20th century, that's where it all started. It started with bullshit propaganda. That's just how it is. And it's just, it's just a horrible thing to be watching. And it's been just, it's really been affecting my mood, man. And I don't like it. But I just, I know I'm all over the place. There's just too many thoughts in my head and I can't get it out in a coherent way. I'm going to attempt to do it and try not to break down and cry in front of you because it's very hard. I guess it goes back to being a kid. When I was a little kid and listening to my father talk about what it was like growing up in Europe with the Nazis. First the Italians coming through and they couldn't do the job in Greece, and then the Germans had to come down there, and all the horrible things that he had to live through. And then to make it worse, at the end of that, 1945 to 50s, the Greek Civil War, and the socialists, he always called them the socialists, were coming through all of Eastern Europe, and they were just murdering people. That's how socialism and communism spread, was through terrorism and murder. There's a story he used to tell me all the time, and every time he tore me, he'd tear up and get emotional and start, crying. I try to hold it back, kind of like I'm trying to do now. But it was they came through the village at one point. He was on a list. It's a long story, but him and his dad got away, and some other people got away and hid up in the mountains. But the socialists came through, and they took the priest from his town and his school teacher and his uncle, who had been an officer in the army, and they murdered him in front of the whole village, cut them up into pieces, hacked the bodies up into pieces, and left a pile of body parts in front of his house. And then his parents put him on a boat to America by himself. He left home at 9 years old originally to go fight during the Greek Civil War. He comes home for 6 months. This happens, and then they put him on a boat to America by himself. So, when you're raised by a guy that saw all those things and lived through that, it does something to your mind. It makes you want to go over there and help these poor people out. So I understand that. I support that. I don't support supporting that government necessarily. The Zelensky thing is an interesting situation because who the hell is this guy? I mean, he's actually imprisoned his political rivals. And he was an actor. I think I read, I don't know how accurate all this is, but I've read that he played a character on a show that was like a teacher or something that then becomes the president, and now that's actually playing out. And there's people that have gotten us into trouble before, created scenarios for us that made our lives more miserable, took more money out of our pockets, and has taken away more of our freedoms, that support him. And they're the true warmongers, I mean, you say what you want to say about the last guy, but if he was president now, this wouldn't be happening. And it's crazy to see what happened. When the last guy got into office, he instantly started doing things. And he was able to make the economy better for everybody. It didn't matter what color you were. Everybody had a job, pretty much who wanted one. And he changed the world. It was changing the whole world in a way that would be better for everybody. But that screwed up what these monsters want to do. It's like they want us to be in a constant state of war. So the pandemic thing happens, and then that sets up a situation where they could do what they did with the election. Whether or not you want to believe, I know you're going to sit here, some of you are going to look at this and go, I'm crazy, conspiracy theorist, but separate yourself from that for a minute and just look at the facts of what happened. You don't have to believe that what I'm saying is why it happened or those, but these things did happen. All right, this pandemic did happen. By the way, nobody's wearing masks over there. You notice that? And the last State of the Union address, the current guy running things, if you can believe that, talked about how we're getting away from the masks now and everything else. So you don't have to wear those things anymore. It never did. Never needed it. It was all bullshit. Real thing. People did die, but it was a certain thing. It was that thing was orchestrated to take down people who were already sick. And the way that they manipulated numbers and everything else, if you talk to somebody who ran hospitals, like I know, all the government ever asked was how many positive cases. They didn't even ask how many people were dying. And so they could use those numbers the whole time to keep telling us to do this or that. It's all about control. So you'd stay in your house, and then you could vote from home. And then that definitely created a bad situation because I still don't believe all those numbers. You can if you want to. I'm not going to argue with you over that point. But the bottom line, the result was we ended up with this guy. And this guy came in, and his people took down everything that was good that was happening. Because our energy independence was the number one thing. We were exporting oil to other countries. And when that stopped, Russia stepped in, started providing all that stuff. And there'll be somebody watching this going, well, we only get 7% of our oil. Well, what does that 7% add up to per day? Monetarily speaking, that we're buying. And they're still buying it. As far as I know, at least up until today, I think we're still buying Russian oil. This was a gimme. It was a gimme. Everything was set up so that this guy, Putin, could go into Ukraine and do what he's doing right now. And the way it's being done is just sickening and disgusting. You might not know this, but Ukraine's been in a shooting war with Russian forces on their eastern border since 2014. I mean, go back to 2012 with the Benghazi incident. There's people that were there that survived that. Listen to what they got to say about that. I mean, come on, man. We were taking weapons and munitions from there, from that fiasco, and giving it to the people in Syria. We were supporting a whole war going on there the whole time. It's crazy. 2014, when Putin went in and took over Crimea, current guy running things now is the vice president then. Nothing, did nothing. This was all, everything I'm saying, it's not crazy conspiracy theory. And I'm not trying to pick one side or the other politically. I think playing the politics game that's a nonsensical thing. It's happening, but you can't take a side with this. You have to be objective and just look at this happened, this is the result of that happening. Once your mind starts going there, you can start to see how everything just fits together. But you have to separate the emotion and the bullshit from it. But they're doing this on purpose, and you just have to ask yourself why. Why do they have to keep doing this at the cost of lives? They know what's going to happen. Yesterday I had to turn off the TV, it actually put me in a better mood a little bit by the end of the day. And today I was just I should be doing something productive. I should have done more things productive yesterday too. I did a few things, but it's just hard when you have this in the back of your mind because you care. I mean, part of me wants to go over there and just start doing stuff. But in the end, doing that, on one hand, you're helping those people that need the help, but you're also supporting something that I don't think is going to be good in the long run at the same time. So it's a catch-22. We're just pawns, man. So I guess the thrust of this is, I don't even know why I'm putting this out there. I'm just getting this off my chest because I'm upset. I got nobody else to talk to. I'm all alone. Stop allowing yourself to be manipulated with bullshit. Stop listening to the same people that have been lying to you forever. If you know that what they were telling you, just take the pandemic stuff. If you know that the information that they were telling you from the beginning now is a lie, but the information that we know is the truth was also known in the beginning, then all the people that lied to you this whole time, why would you still be listening to them now? Right? Everybody who pushed the Russian collusion narrative that was all based on bullshit, which we knew that from the beginning, if you looked into it instead of just listening to what you were being told and did your own research and looked into things, because now we know. It was 100% BS. None of it was true. Not a single thing in there was real, fake. But some of you are still listening to the same people that have been lying to you all this time. And now you're still listening to them now. That just means you can't believe anything that they're telling you. Anything. We're in a dangerous place here, people. There's this thing, you're not supposed to kill the messenger. And I'm not telling you to kill anybody. Kill's a strong word. You have to be careful when you use that word because you'll get banned on social media. I'm not suggesting that at all. But it's an interesting, logically, just as a think out way to look at things, if the false narrative people, the people who push the false narrative every night, I'm not suggesting that anybody does this. That would be a horrible thing. I'd go to prison for that, right? I would guess. I would think. I don't know. But if something happened to one of those people or a couple of them, then all of a sudden that would turn around. Maybe they wouldn't be so apt to lie so much anymore. I don't know. I know that's a crazy thing to say out loud, but it's just if they're proven liars, why are they still allowed to keep lying? Why do they have a job where they get in front of the camera every night and look at it with conviction and bravado and say things in a way that is convincing you to believe what they're saying when they got to know that they're lying? They got to know that they're lying. And so that really bums me out, man. Liars. It's a villainous thing, and it just leads to more misery for all of us. I mean, are you happy right now? We got a war going on in Europe. We're paying ridiculous amounts of money for fuel couple of years ago, we had some of the cheapest gas prices going because we were energy independent. We can produce our own oil. And the oil thing is not about gasoline. This thing that they want to do, these green energy people, we can go all green. You're never going to get away from oil. We're going to need oil forever. Forever. You're never not going to need oil. Everything uses oil. Just nylon. Just plastics. There's just one thing, rubbers. More of you need to be using rubbers. Listen, I'm just saying. Oil's always going to be needed. Wake up. Snap out of it. Stop believing the BS. Please, for the love of God. And I know this is some of you watching this right now, you're new to my channel, and I do appreciate you subscribing and following along, and thank you. And I know a lot of you are here just for the Astrovan stuff. Some of you like the bicycle stuff. I used to do more of this sort of thing, but more in a fun way. If you look back to stuff I was doing a year ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, I was doing a lot of this, but they've got no views. You know, they've got like 45 views, 20 views. So nobody was interested in that. I think some of it was shadow banned, to be honest with you. If you go back and look at those things, you'd see why. So I don't plan on doing a lot of this on this channel, but I'm just upset. I know I'm not the only one. So I'm angry about this whole thing at the same time, and what am I going to do? I wish I didn't. I recently made some commitments. I got to finish a project or whatever else. I can't just walk away from some of these things. But I don't know. Just stop. Just wake up, please. Just turn off the media. Just turn it off. Just stop watching it. We'll all be happier. But I don't know what to tell you, man. I would say that if you've got friends that you don't agree with, and I'm talking to those of you who lean more to the left and really watch CNN and MSNBC or listen to NPR, PBS, that sort of thing, because a lot of them have been just lying. And I'm not saying Fox is the best, but, it's the best we got on cable. And I don't like a lot of stuff I hear there either. You've got to go out there and read from people who are there. Whatever the subject is that you want to follow, try to get to the roots of things. And I know it's tough. They know it's hard for you to have the time to do that. Because, you mostly have families and kids and jobs, 2 people working in the household, doing all these other things. You don't have the time to do that kind of research. I do. I don't have any of that. That's how I know. So if you've got somebody in your life that has been contrary to the narrative, and you think that they're kind of crazy or something, you should engage them in a conversation and find out what they know, and then look into that stuff. We got to help each other out here. I don't know what to do. What are we going to do? What's the end goal? Are we all supposed to just go out there and start hitting each other with sticks? It almost seems like that's what they want us to do. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to do that to anybody. So wake up. Be good to one another. And pray. And that's about all we can do.